Oh, hi. How y'all doing? It's me, Mel. Welcome to the RR Virtual Vision Hangout pre-show, the Chicago tour for Clearly Human tonight, which we're going to have coming up here in a couple of hours. Glad you guys could join us. Join me, but it's going to be a fun little pre-show here. We got a couple of special guests. Number one, coming up here in just a minute or two, is Eric Gardner, manager to the stars, including our hero, Todd Rundgren. And we're going to visit with him, and he's already let us know he's got a lot to say. So we're probably just going to give him the floor and take it from there. And if I see a chance, I'll step in and ask a question or two. And then a little while later, we're going to have Ed Palermo from Zodd Zundgren and the Ed Palermo Big Band. We're going to visit with him for a little while. And maybe, just maybe, if we can work it out, we're going to get visited by our roving reporter live on the scene in Chicago, Mr. R.R. Doug. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and bring on our first guest, bring him in from the backstage. This is Mr. Eric Gardner. Hi.
Hey, Mel, how are you?
I'm good. You're sounding good. You're looking good.
Clean living.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering how the last 12 months has been for you. I'm sure it's been very, very different. Would you say your business has been a little busier with having to do, rescheduling and cancellations and stuff?
Well, necessity being the mother of invention, it has been incredibly busy because between Todd and some of my other artists, we canceled more than 125 shows since last March. So we needed to find ways to fill those gaps. And so that's been taking a lot of my time.
I bet so. Wow, 125 shows. That is a ton. And I know it's almost more hard work when you have to cancel or reschedule a show than getting it, in the books in the first place, right?
Especially when it's when many of them have been rescheduled 3 or 4 times since last March, thinking that optimistically, by May last year it was going to be okay, and then by September last year it was going to be okay, and then by November it was going to be okay. So some of these tours and runs have been rescheduled 3 or 4 times over. So but as I said, the positive side is coming up with ways to continue to generate exposure for my clients' brands and generate revenue for them, to make up for the lost revenue of the touring. So that's been challenging but satisfying.
Mm-hmm. Well, that leads me straight into what we're having you here at the pre-show hang here in Chicago all about is, of course, we want to talk about how you and Todd got involved with no caps shows, I guess is what the proper name is, and how this all kind of got rolling.
Well, interestingly, I think Todd has mentioned this in a couple of interviews he's done, so it may not be news to everyone. But, well, first of all, as you and pretty much, I think, most of your audience, if not all of your audience, is aware, we've been doing live streaming shows for more than 20 years. Every tour, as soon as technology caught up with our desire to be able to do that, in the early 2000s, we typically would pick one show on a tour and then offer it streaming, to the fans. So we're no stranger to that. A couple of years ago, well before COVID, a year and a half before COVID, Todd began experiencing climactic issues on tour, things like wildfires in the West, or blizzards when there shouldn't have been blizzards, or flights getting canceled for weather reasons. And it occurred to him that the impending climate change, as it is predicted to get worse and worse and worse, that could have a profound effect on live touring, because buses couldn't get through, trucks couldn't get through, flights get canceled, shows get missed. And so, because we had this history of being able to stream shows, he got the idea of virtual touring long time ago, a year
Of
and a half.
course he would. Of
Yeah.
all people, of course he would.
So, our touring partners for the last few years have been Live Nation. So we went to Live Nation, and we made a presentation to them about how we predicted that climate change was going to get worse. It was going to have a serious deleterious effect on touring, and boy, did we have an idea to avoid that, to shift the paradigm more towards virtual touring. And at that time, 2 years ago, Live Nation very respectfully said, "Amazing idea. Yeah, you're making a great case, but we're a publicly traded company. We have responsibilities to our shareholders to deliver profits, and we just don't see how that could be practically monetized." So we said, "Fine, no problem." We didn't agree. But we put it in the back of our minds that at some point we were going to prove that this was a viable and potentially paradigm shifting way to present music and any kind of entertainment, actually. So then came COVID, and sure, in the first 2 or 3 months of COVID, artists were doing little streams from their living room, or from their garage, or this or that. And pretty obvious thing to do, and easy to do. And in fact, we did those 6 episodes of the Todd TV show, the Todd's Honest Truth,
Right.
As well, just to keep the brand alive and keep the fans in contact with Todd in some kind of meaningful way. But we then realized that COVID, even though the idea that we had was to work around climate change, COVID then presented a real world practical reason to try an extended virtual tour. And we already knew that Live Nation wasn't interested in doing this because of monetization issues, but we still felt a moral obligation to go to Live Nation and tell them that we're planning on doing this. We're going to find another partner to do it with. Nothing to, no offense, Live Nation, we love you. We'll keep working with you. But on this, we really feel compelled to make a statement. And they were wonderful. They said, "Sure, go ahead, no problem."
Wow.
And so that was when I became aware of NoCap. And interestingly, NoCap was founded by a guy named Cisco Adler, whose father is Lou Adler, who was still alive, but it was absolutely iconic in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. He had Ode Records, he had the Mamas and Papas, he owns the Roxy and the Whiskey in LA. He's like, and I had a strong personal connection with his father, because in the 80s and 90s, I managed the Stray Cats, and Slim Jim, the drummer in the Stray Cats, was married to Britt Eklund, who had previously had children with Lou Adler. Cisco being one of them. Well, no, actually, Britt's not Cisco's mom, but anyway, I knew the family very well. So I knew Cisco when he was like 3 years old. So I picked up the phone and called Cisco. I hadn't spoken to him in probably 20 years, and I started telling him what we had in mind. He says, "Oh my gosh, that's an extension. That's the next step of what we're doing. We should do it together." So that's a very long, rambling answer as to how we got together with NoCap.
No, it's interesting and fascinating, and everything is 6 degrees of Todd Rundgren anyway, because you knew the family and everything. So it just did seem like a natural fit. But let me ask you about at the beginning when tickets went on sale. A lot of the fans had complaints about the Geo Fencing. Did that have something to do with Live Nation and the radius clauses and things like that go on in a traditional concert sense?
Here's what happened. The short answer is yes, but there's more to it than that.
Okay.
Okay, so one of the ideas that Todd had before we even approached NoCap was the idea of emulating as closely as possible in the virtual world a real tour. And that included assigning, instead of just doing 25 shows and having it wide open to the world, targeting, identifying 25 markets that would be emphasis markets. So initially, what happened was, if you recall, we had already on sale, supposed to have started last May, the individualist AWETS tour, the next Live Nation tour. It was on sale. People were already buying tickets. And there were 20-something markets for that tour. Well, we had to cancel that tour. And we rescheduled it for last fall, and we had to cancel it again. And now we do have it rescheduled, everybody, I promise. We're going to be announcing it sometime in the next 6 weeks or so for later this fall. Okay, so that was already on Live Nation's books, that rescheduled tour with specific markets. So when I went to Live Nation as a courtesy to tell them we were going to do the virtual tour, but not with them, as a courtesy, we assured them that we would not target any of their markets that for the tour that's going to be rescheduled for this fall, because they were worried that more people would watch the virtual version and not buy tickets for the real version if the markets were the same. So then there were a series of discussions with Live Nation. Well, here's our list of markets we'd like to target. Is that okay with you? And then we haggled a little bit. And then we asked them to make an exception with several of the markets. Chicago was one of them. Boston was one of them. Philadelphia was one of them. New York. We wanted to add those to our virtual list, but they were already on the fall list. So when I started talking with Cisco at NoCap, they had never done geo-targeting before. In fact, no one, I don't think, had done geo-targeting before. The technology didn't exist yet. So, but we asked NoCap if their engineers and programmers could come up with a viable way of geofencing using zip codes, so that they would input into their computers all the zip codes that comprise, let's say, the city limits of Philadelphia. And if anyone tried to buy a ticket for Philadelphia online for the virtual show, that technology would recognize that their IP address was sitting in one of those zip codes, and they would not be allowed to buy that ticket. That was the way it was originally going to be structured, and then all the other markets, it would recognize all the zip codes. So that's what we went. That's what we went open with. That's how we opened up the box office, and it turned out to be just not workable. It just,
I know. Believe me, I read it all on Facebook.
Yeah. So we apologize to everybody listening, and please tell all your friends who are not listening today, we apologize for that mess up, but we worked hard to fix it. And so we removed a number of the restrictions. There were only, I think, 6 cities left in the entire United States that that if you lived within the city limits, the actual defined city limits of those 6 cities, those are the 6 cities that Live Nation had asked us to protect for them for the fall tour. We did that for a while. Now anybody can watch
Right.
from anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can
So,
buy a single
and
show
by,
if
and,
you want.
yeah, you can buy, oh, of course, yes, exactly. Yeah, by the way, the way we had come up with to get around fans who were in restricted cities initially was uh, it, uh, it, which Live Nation said yes to, if we offered a 5-show package, the first 5 shows, the second 5 shows, the third 5 shows, fourth 5 shows, and the fifth 5 shows, those were exempt from the geofencing no matter where, even if you lived in a city that was geofenced. That was the genesis of that, the reason for that. But then after we did all the fixing and all the renegotiating with Live Nation, it ended up wide open. So again, I'm sorry, guys, anybody who got frustrated. We hope that that you're getting to see shows now wherever you live.
Well, you're not here to apologize, Eric. Everything's fine now. And I want to ask you. You are I guess executive producer of this tour. There is, as far as I know, there's no proper promoter or venue that is going to front some money to Todd. So I think Todd has actually had to put a lot of his own money into this big production. Is that true?
When Todd, and this has happened many, many times in the 46 years I've been with him, when he gets fixated on demonstrating that a new paradigm shifting technology is viable, or he wants to embrace it and he wants the whole world to embrace it, he goes all in. And now in the past, he's gone all in, usually with some partners or this or a technology partner or something like that. This is the first instance where he's gone all in, all by himself. There is, as you just said, there is no tour promoter. There's no individual city promoter. There is no one offering him a traditional deal like there is on a normal terrestrial tour where, hey, you want to play Phoenix? We'll offer you X number of dollars and we'll give you 50% up front. And, and the other 50% at the end of the show. And that's how the tour gets financed. Not here. This is 100% Todd's own money. He's risking all of his own money. That's how much he believes in this.
Wow. Wow. Well, I will tell you, the show is just spectacular looking. Just the stage setup is gorgeous.
Well, let me just speak to that for a second. One of the there are a lot of artists, Todd being one of them, who enjoy spectacle. You know, they enjoy putting on shows that are visually stunning. Now, bands like Pink Floyd, or Kiss, or huge global bands, they have the financial wherewithal to spend the money to put on spectacular traditional shows because they're playing stadiums or they're playing multiple night arenas in each city with tickets that are $200 a night, and they can afford to transport that spectacle from city to city on the ground in like 6 or 8 or 10 tractor trailers, 40-foot tractor trailers. That's expensive, but they can afford it. Someone like Todd, who normally plays, 1,500 to 3,000 seat venues, we are very limited in the traditional touring space as to how big our spectacle can be, because we're limited by the number of tickets we can sell at the venues and the amount of money we have to play with, and we can't afford more than 1 or 2 trucks, at a time. The beauty, one of the most attractive things about this virtual tour, and one of the things that we're trying to get across to other bands as to how viable this is, the beauty of it is that you're not moving. You don't have to pack up every night. There are no trucks. There are no tour buses. There are no planes. You're sitting in one city, in our case for 6.5 weeks, and you're in the same venue, and you don't have to transport all that stuff. So the money that you save by not having to hire all those trucks and buses and airfares and all that kind of stuff, and the additional crew and the Teamsters to drive the trucks and everything, can be put into the production. So Todd has, if we attempted to put this show on as a regular touring show, traditional touring show, Todd would end up in debtor's prison at the end of the tour because of the cost of trying to transport what you're seeing every night streaming. So one of the big advantages of virtual touring is the ability to put on a spectacular show that you'd never be able to afford to take on the road for real, and the bands enjoy performing that kind of spectacle, and the audience enjoys seeing that kind of spectacle.
Oh, we certainly do. I mean, during the show, there might be some people listening tonight that have not actually gotten to see one of the shows yet, but there is a chat room that's going on that you can participate in, and every time people are just, oh, look at the costumes and the shoes and the dancing, and there's 10 people behind Todd. I mean, it's really, really impressive. I'm assuming you've caught a couple of the shows, right?
Yeah, I went to Chicago for the rehearsals and for the first show, the Buffalo show, the Valentine's Day show. Yeah.
So you saw it live in person.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, as a production partner with No Cap shows, I'm assuming you have some kind of knowledge of how ticket sales are going. One thing I've noticed is that, especially once people could start purchasing just a single show here and there, now all of a sudden these people that were complaining about, oh, I don't want to have to buy 5 shows, well, they're now watching their 6th and 7th shows. Are the sales going really, really good?
Yeah, they are indeed, and there's a phenomenon that we're observing that we believe will be a phenomenon that will continue for anybody else who follows in our footsteps. And it's very interesting. When a normal tour is announced, a Rolling Stones tour, or a Todd tour, or a Beach Boys tour, or whatever kind of tour is being announced, there is initially a mad rush on the day of announcement because you want to get a good seat. The sales take off right from the beginning. Well, the interesting thing about a virtual tour is the audience is smart. The audience knows, no, I've got a great seat. It's the couch in my living room.
Right.
I don't have to rush to buy a ticket. And especially in COVID economic hardship times for the last year, where people are conserving their money. They don't know if they're going to keep their jobs. They don't know if their unemployment's going to be renewed. People are very careful with their money. And what we found in the virtual touring ticket sales piece of this is that, and I had to keep telling Todd, don't worry. Well, actually, I didn't have to keep telling Todd. He got it from the beginning. The sale, from the day we announced, the sales were steady, but they were nothing close to what they are normally for a terrestrial tour. And oh, gee, are people really not interested in seeing, a show in their living room? Gosh, that's weird because we've done this before. But what it actually turned out to be was, our first show was February 14th. On February 12th, 2 days before the first show, sales started exploding. I mean, absolutely exploding. Why? We realized because people were waiting until the last minute to spend their money because things are tough, and they didn't have to worry about the where they were sitting. And now we're I think starting our eighth show tonight, if I'm not mistaken. It's 48 hours before each of these shows. There's an explosion of ticket buying. And we expect that's going to continue through March 22nd, which is our last show. So, one of the things we're saying in industry interviews about this new paradigm, establishing this new paradigm, is don't worry. If you build it, they will come. Don't be discouraged if tickets don't start selling the day you announce, because there's no reason to spend your money that early.
Right. Well, but I'm sure it's very nerve-wracking, especially there for those first couple of shows, thinking, "Oh my gosh, we're not gonna make any money at all because only 10 people are interested," or whatever.
Yeah,
So you gotta just sorta hang tough on this
yeah.
because
Well, we
it's
announced
kinda
it.
working differently than the
It really,
terrestrial
it,
tour.
it really. I mean, look, it's we're learning as we go. It's never been done before, and but so far everything has been just tremendously positive in terms of every aspect of it. You just have to have nerves of steel to wait for tickets to start selling 48 hours before the shows.
I just find it so funny that these people were, I mean, seriously bitching on Facebook and other places about, "I can't afford to go to 5 shows," and yet every night they're going to a different show.
Yeah, it's funny. There's I'm going way back here in my memory, but I remember in one of my college English literature classes, we studied a poem, a 19th century poem by an English poet named Oliver Goldsmith, and the poem was called "The Deserted Village." And there was a little episode in the poem. It was a really long poem. Little episode in the poem. Their village pastor had died, and a new village pastor was coming to take his place. And the new village pastor came in, and the people were looking at him and saying, "Ah, boy, I don't know about this guy. He doesn't. Boy, he's so young. What could he know? How good could he be? You know." And so anyway, the first Sunday shows comes, and everybody goes into the village church, and they listen to the guy. And the line in the poem is, "Those who came to scoff remained to pray." And it's kind of like like what you said. Oh, they're complaining about the 5 tickets, and now they're buying, more than 5 tickets. So but it's really nice to hear that they're doing that. So.
Well, it's true. It's true. But we want to say thank you very much for opening it up to single show purchases. And I do hope that it is going to make Todd even more money than what you guys might have projected, if you could project at all.
Well, Todd is perfectly prepared to take a loss on it, because he believes that he is doing the world, and he is doing the industry and fans and the business side of things a he is solely financing, proving a whole new way of doing things. And for him, that's a crusade. That's a mission. And so yeah, that's what he's doing.
You clearly understand, Todd, because if it could make you crazy, I guess. But hey, listen, I want to give us a question from the chat room.
Okay.
Oh dear, I don't even know what this is going to be, but it says, "Can you ask Eric to have the production guys put some music on the line 10 to 15 minutes ahead of the show so we can sound check our setup? So far, every time I log on, it's too quiet." I noticed that during the couple shows that I've seen so far. They have the theater too quiet,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't tell if you have sound or not until the show starts.
Okay.
Do you have any pull?
I know someone who knows someone.
Good. Hey, Cisco, how you doing? Let me see what else I've got.
No, that's a great question, and a great comment and a great suggestion. I will take care of it.
Okay, cool. Ask and ye shall receive, Bruce. On the tonight, I will be participating for the first time as a virtual audience member, and I'm really excited about it. I can't wait. Gonna have to put lipstick on and everything and look good, but Rundgren Radio did a big push this week to try to sell those out, and it does appear that we have sold out the virtual audience as well as the live audience, but that sold out quite some time ago for tonight's show in particular.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Oh, sure. Every little bit, and but do those screens? To some people, it doesn't appear that they rotate around, like whether you can sometimes have your face on the front row and sometimes be on the second row.
There wasn't any plan in place to rotate the images that are already on the screens from the beginning. The only plan that was in place was that if we sold more virtual audience positions, then we had screens. Let's say we sold 15 more than we have screens. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then the company that we hired to oversee and run the virtual audience screens for us during the show, they were instructed then to do the rotation so that everyone, even though it was oversubscribed, everyone would get a chance to be on a screen during the show. But we never thought about rotating. Let's say we sold exactly the number of screens that exist, not one more, just exactly that number. Every screen was filled perfectly. We had never contemplated rotating those.
Oh, I hope they have for tonight because we have sold them out.
Oh no! Well, like I said, if we sell more, then there are screens. Then it's automatically programmed by the people we paid to program it to rotate those images so that someone who's on the screen at the beginning of the show might be removed for 5 minutes and replaced by one of the oversubscription images, and then it would just constantly keep rotating so that everybody got the same amount of time on screen.
Got it. Okay, so people out there, I hope y'all understood that, and so hopefully you'll see your little face on the screen during one.
Let's say theoretically, if there are 30 screens in front of the stage, and we sell exactly 30 images, then those images will be assigned to a certain screen, and they'll stay that way the whole show. If, however, we sell 40 positions for that particular show, and we only have 30 screens, then we'll start out with 30 people on the screens, and then throughout the show, randomly, people who are on the screens at the beginning of the show will be taken out. The extra 10 will be added in, and then that'll rotate several more times during the show, so everybody gets equal time on the screens.
Okay. Do you know, with all this great footage that Chris Anderson is sort of in charge of, please, is there plans for having a DVD at some point?
There are those plans.
Yes, good answer. Awesome. Well, we know sometimes those take a little time, but
especially when you've got 25 performances, you have to choose the best version of each song from 25 shows.
Correct.
A big editing challenge.
No kidding. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about considering the Clearly Human tour? I do have a couple more general questions for you, but what would you like to tell me about the Clearly Human tour that I haven't asked?
Oh my goodness. I think we covered, a lot of the boxes, ticked a lot of the boxes. Just that, the Todd's making a great effort. I'm sure you've seen in the interviews on the localization aspect of it, and that's the term that Todd's using. In other words, he's going to great lengths to delude not only the audience, but also to delude the band that they actually are in a particular city. With the during the pre-show, you see all the stuff from the from that city being shown on the screen, landmarks and icons and things like that. That's the first step. Actually, there's an earlier step, and that is the day that they, let's say we're in, Albany. Okay, the show is supposed to be in Albany that night, theoretically. From the time that the crew arrives at the venue in Chicago, from the time that the band arrives at the venue in Chicago on that particular day, all they'll see backstage and in the dressing rooms and in the catering rooms and everywhere are things from Albany. Sports jerseys, or local newspapers, or food that is, sort of popular in Albany. Albany, not a great choice for cuisine, but you get what I mean.
Right.
Apologize to anybody who's listening from Albany.
He's doing the clocks. He's changing the clocks.
And all the clocks in the venue are set to local Albany time.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, and so by the time the band takes the stage and the crew takes up their positions and the cameramen pick up their cameras, they're psyched into thinking they're in Albany.
Isn't that crazy? But it's a great idea. I've heard, I can't remember if it was Chasm or Bobby Strickland was asked, if that part of the tour is working. And he said, yes, the hypnosis is working.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. What do you think when concert touring, all this COVID stuff is behind us? Do you think there's still going to be much market for these virtual shows, or what?
That's Todd's whole thesis, is that COVID is just the temporary justification for trying this out, but as a proof of concept. The idea in Todd's head, and a lot of the industry press has been taking this up as a result, is this the first baby step in what will transform global touring? So will terrestrial touring disappear immediately? Will it ever disappear? Probably not. But especially for upper demo artists, legacy artists above the age of 50, they've been touring all their lives, and now they have an option of no more tour bus, no more crappy hotels, no more sitting in airports, no more getting up at 5 a.m. to take 3 changes of planes. Hey, we can do it from home. That's not the only attraction, but it's one attraction, one possible attraction. So what Todd's trying to do is just saying, hey guys, look, it works, and we think it's going to keep on working. So.
Well, it works for the if you want to call us the legacy audiences too, because it's nice to be at home. There's open bar. The food is free. You can be in your pajamas and no one's going to know. So
you don't have to pay for parking. You don't have to pay for the babysitter. You don't have to, it's comfort food, for it's just comfort food.
Yeah. And technology that is readily available to the average guy, like me, we have much better equipment now. You can listen on your surround sound speakers as loud as you
I have
want.
it up on my TV on my wall every night.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So a couple of other things, because I don't want to keep you too terribly long. Um, there's a new vinyl release of Nearly Human. You want to talk to us about that?
Well, it's not just the vinyl release. The CD got reissued as well last month. For some reason, Rhino / Warner Music had the Nearly Human title had slipped into obscurity. It was no longer being manufactured. It wasn't in their catalog anymore. Um, and so when Todd came up with the idea of the format for the virtual tour, and that Nearly Human would be at its nucleus, I called Rhino up and I said, "Hey guys, here's a chance to get it back in the catalog with some bells and whistles." And they said, "Sure."
It's such a classic. I can't believe that it was out of print or whatever. Oh, congratulations on that. I'm glad that that's being done, because there are a lot of fans that are a little on the younger side that really, they're like, "What's this Nearly Human? I hear it's a good album." Oh, it's one of his best, for heaven's sake. So that's great. And then finally, I'm going to ask you, oh, it's so boring, but I shouldn't throw
Rock
mud
and Roll
in
Hall
on
of
it.
Fame.
Exactly. Third time, is it a charm?
Well, I'm sure if history is any indication, yes, it is the time. It is the charm. I think practically all, if not all, of previous nominees who have been nominated twice and not gotten in, and then nominated a third time, they do get in. So if history is any indication, yes, third time will be the charm.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes.
Oh, I mean, how long has that debate been going on about, oh, he shouldn't appear if he ever gets in or whatever? It's like yawn again. Oh, but I had to ask, some people get
Well,
very excited about that.
I'm one of the 1,000 industry voters, official voters. So you know where my vote went.
Well, and, good. And another thing is that he's nominated with the New York Dolls, which, of course, they've got a strong relationship there. So wouldn't that be cool if both of them got in at the same time?
That would be amazing. Although it would surprise me.
It would.
It would, yes.
Uh,
Not Todd. I mean the Dolls.
mm, yeah, I don't. I do know that Todd and David they get along very well. I saw
Oh,
them at that.
absolutely. I mean, it's interesting. Todd produced their first album and their most recent album.
Yeah.
45 years apart or something like that.
they have. I was at that My Record Fantasy Camp 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and David Johansen was there. Of course, Todd was there, and they really do get on great. They're kind of two peas in a pod. It's very
No, David's amazing. The other guys are all amazing as well. But they also have the sympathy thing going for them, because Sylvain passed away recently. But David, David is David is so underrated as he should be right up there with David Bowie in terms of his chameleon-like abilities and his he was just so glam, and he's got that entire other persona, Buster Poindexter. He performs as this alternate character, Buster Poindexter, which is a crooner guy in a suit and a tie, and from the 40s. And he's great.
Hey, I hear hot, hot, hot on every single Caribbean cruise I've ever been on. So I wish I heard Todd Rundgren more often, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
But
but he got his cruise dues, with Bang
oh,
the
that's
Drum
true.
and Carnival Cruises. So
You're right. I forgot about that. You're right. So what are your plans for the future? Are you trying to see that things are going to open up? Are you still rescheduling things for, say, this
yeah,
fall?
we after learning the lessons of 5 reschedulings last year and none of them happening, we pushed everything into 2022, except the Individualist AWETS tour of Todd, which is, as I say, I don't know if you stayed to watch all the credits at the. If your viewers have watched all the credits at the end of each telecast, each streaming telecast, but the last thing on the credits says, "Don't worry, we'll be announcing that tour soon. It'll be this fall." So.
Excellent. Excellent. We got to have some kind of hope. But either way, this virtual touring is pretty darn good. So I think you're getting pretty good reviews just about the whole idea. I'm not talking about the actual show, but the whole idea is going over pretty well. So congratulations.
And anybody who's watching tonight's Chicago show, you're in for a bit of a surprise. That's all I can tell you.
Ooh, okay. Well, we'll be watching. I can't imagine. Is it going to be that Chicago fancy popcorn's going to fall out of the sky or something?
Oh man, who told you?
Oh, busted. No, I know it's not, but maybe there's an idea. Anyway, Eric, thank you so much for being so gracious with your time. We always love having you on the show, and now we get to see you on Virtual Vision.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun.
Next time I'll put on pants.
You don't have to. Just be careful with that camera, you know.
Yeah, no kidding. Guys, you, Doug, all the fans listening, all the fans that you'll be talking to that aren't listening, thank you all so much. You know, it's all for you. We love you.
Thanks. Well, pass the same message along to everybody on your side of the screen too.
Will do.
Okay. Thanks, Eric.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it, people. I hope that all the questions that needed to be asked got asked. I didn't want to dig too deep about the financials, but I think we got what we needed, got the answer. This is really Todd's money. So go out there and keep buying your tickets for the Clearly Human virtual tour. Did I say that right? Clearly Human. Sorry, I'm here all alone, waiting on the next guest or two. Like I said, we might have Doug at some point doing his roving reporter shtick. Hopefully he can at least wander around a little bit and video some of the other guests that should probably, it's 6:45, so probably be loading into the actual venue in Chicago pretty soon. I think Doug was planning on talking to as many people as he possibly could. So that's coming up. We've got Ed Palermo. Hello, Ed. Where are you? Anytime. Oh, I guess his limo's a little late. So Ed Palermo, interesting cat. The reason why we're having him on tonight is because he has a connection to this tour. He's not in the tour. No, he's not. But he has been watching every night, or I think most every night. He has a bandmate of his is filling in for Jesse Gress on lead guitar, Bruce McDaniel, who I know a lot of people have started really, really watching Bruce and enjoying his playing. And they're in the same band together, the Ed Palermo Big Band, and the Zodd Zundgren band, which is what you think it is. It's a mashup of Frank Zappa and Todd Rundgren tunes, which I don't know a whole lot about Frank Zappa, but I know of his persona, and I can see that would be a very, very good combination to have with Todd Rundgren and his music. So anyway, here we are. I don't know if I've got something I can play. I should have loaded something up. I'm sorry, guys, I didn't. Hopefully our guests will be here. So let me see. I'm checking the chat room. Did I get covered what needed to be covered with Eric? Isn't he great? you know, imagine his patience level of dealing with Todd Rundgren. I meant to ask him, darn it, for years we have said he's worked with Todd for over 30 years, but now it might be going on 40. I don't know. But he probably knows him best. And he's got a lot of patience with Todd. And he knows him. I mean, when Todd said, I am bound and determined to do this kind of show, that Eric really had no choice. So I'm glad that he didn't, buck against Todd on this, because it's a whole lot of fun, and it is fun seeing your friends either on the screens or actually live in the audience. They're only letting 19 people in, and they do keep the lights down kind of low during the show. But towards the end, I've noticed during the encores, they bring the house lights up brighter, and you can actually see who's out there, not just the screens. Otherwise, when it's dark, you can pretty much only see the screens, and of course they look kind of small. But it's fun when you can see the live people. And I understand that they give you at the door the COVID masks, but they're those weird ones that are kind of clear. So the band is insisting that you wear those, I guess, so they can see if you're singing along. And I don't know. It's I think they're kind of funny looking, but I get it, because the band really does feed off the energy of the audience. I mean, you heard that Wednesday night. Speaking of Wednesday night, if you didn't catch it, scroll on down through the Rundgren Radio YouTube channel and go back and watch the interview that Doug and I did with Mia Halverson. She's the new girl on the block, one of the background singers. She was lovely, and she was a great interview. And she told us a whole lot of neat stuff, very unique stuff from her point of view. So check it out. It's not long. I think it's maybe an hour, something like that. And oh, come on now. Linda Fisher's asking if I know what the surprise is tonight. Yeah, I do, but I ain't talking. Sorry. It's a fun surprise. I will say that. I know that, and it's not popcorn falling from the ceiling. Unfortunately, boy, that'd be good if you were out there in the audience and popcorn started coming down. No, stop guessing, everybody. Okay, it's all right. Oh, no. Okay, ha ha ha. There we go. I don't know quite what to do. I know this is kind of boring, but I'm really glad you guys were able to hang with us. This would kind of be, bring your cocktail. We're sitting in a pub down the street from the venue, and we're all getting a bite to eat. Oh, wouldn't it be nice to actually really be doing that and hugging? And because we're a very huggy crowd. But it would be so much fun if we could be doing that in person. But we're doing that here as if we are in Chicago, and I don't know the names of many places in Chicago, but I've been there. So the cocktails are here. I hope you have yours, and then got your dinner or your snacks and whatever you need. And so it's been a fun little hang here. It was nice that Eric came and visited us. I think I'm thinking I don't know what else to chat about much longer. Okay. We're a drinking, smoking crowd, Nancy says. Ooh, well, there's that too. Shaw's Crab House on Hubbard. Okay, we'll just say we're at the Crab House. That sounds wonderful. Or Giordino's Pizza, or Gino's East. Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I think what we're going to do is maybe we got our signals crossed with Ed Palermo. He's 15 minutes late, so why don't we have him on another show at another time? And hey, it's an hour till virtual showtime, so this will give you a little time to go again, get something to eat, something to drink, take a potty stop, get in your pajamas, walk the dog, whatever. And so you got an hour to get ready. And hopefully I'll see a bunch of my friends' faces on the screens tonight. I'll be there. Oh, yes, someone's reminding me to remind everybody, all the ladies, wear your lipstick, comb your hair, gents, make sure you got some kind of pants on. And we'll see you next time. Don't know exactly when that'll be, but we'll figure out a way to get Ed on. We'll have him on a good long time. How about that? Okay, enjoy the show tonight. Peace out. Love ya.